Hello friend, this is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com. Today I want to talk to you about how a merry heart brings a life of continual blessings. Proverbs chapter 15 verse 15 says this, "All the days of the afflicted are evil, but he that is of a merry heart hath a continual feast." Now there's a couple of words here that need to be kind of clarified. The afflicted is impoverished, in need, somebody lacking. And evil is somebody that is sad, depressed even. And he that is of a merry heart or a good heart has a continual feast. So when you look at it that way, that all the days of the poor, the impoverished, the needy, the lacking are sad, they're evil. But he that is of a merry heart, a good heart, has a continual feast. And this is exhibited all across the world. There are cultures that are very poor, and you see within them a downtrodden, sad, evil approach to life. I'm not saying the individuals don't mean goodness and don't mean to do good, they're doing literally the best they can, but without the knowledge of the goodness of God, without that understanding and awareness of His infinite abundance available freely to them, as the scripture says, "My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, they perish for a lack of knowledge." Without that knowledge, even though it's available to you, it would be like being a prince, but you don't know it. And you literally have the keys to a kingdom, but you're living in the slums because you have no idea of the inheritance available to you. And yet many people are walking around like that. They're literally created in the image and likeness of God, and they're walking around in lack. They're walking around afflicted. They're walking around poor. They're walking around in need. And all their days are evil. They're sad. But available freely to all men, and that includes ladies, men being humans, mankind, is that if you have a merry heart, you have a good heart, you're looking for the goodness of God. You're looking everywhere you see is goodness and peace and abundance and joy and righteousness. That person with that merry heart has a continual feast. These are the people who you see that the world will say they're lucky. The world will say, well, it just always works out easy for them. Everything always works out in their favor. Yes. And that's the way it should be stated about every single Christian. Even if it appears that something is working against them, it winds up working in their favor and 10 or 100-fold better. And this, my friend, is where you should be living. In that state of a pure heart, a good heart, a merry heart that has a continual feast. You're just going from one blessing to another, one glory to another, one righteous thing to another, constantly living in the goodness of God, freely receiving His abundance, freely enjoying His lavish opulence, and being made rich by the blessing of the Lord that adds no sorrow. Just walking in that newness of life, knowing the fullness of God, knowing His abundance, knowing His true grace that freely gives you all things richly to enjoy, gives them to you liberally, where you can easily receive them. They're available to you. You could choke out the word. You could stop it from being received. You can stop that reception of that good gift from God. But your Father wants to give you freely of good things. He's not withholding any good thing from you, as the scripture says. His goodness is tending to all, including the animals. There is a goodness and a blessing and abundance freely available to you. But you can't be this person walking around, moping around, feeling sorry for yourself, talking up the world, being in the fear and doom and gloom of the world. And that, sadly, applies to a lot of churches. A lot of you are going to churches that are telling you fear. They're getting you in political uproars. They're getting you all up in arms over things that don't even affect you in the least. Yes, you should care about another individual, but so many of you haven't even dealt with your own issues. What in the world are you doing trying to get involved in other people's issues? Master your own house first before trying to fix somebody else's. And too many people are doing the opposite. Their life is in disarray. It's a disaster. They're afflicted and their days of their lives are evil. And yet they're trying to fix everybody else's problems. It's good to want to help people, and you should want to help people. But like Jesus said, maybe you first ought to take the beam, cast the beam out of your own eye. Then you can see clearly to cast the mote out of thy brother's eye. It's easy to fix everybody else's problems, but it can take a little more work to work on yourself, to deal with those things that maybe aren't going to be pleasant. Now, the simple thing is that you can turn those things over to God, cast your care upon the Lord, for he careth for you. Walk in that faith, knowing that you're going to manifest the goodness and grace of God every day in your life. Wake up in the morning decreeing that, believing it. Don't wake up in the morning moaning and groaning about the day's events of yesterday, things are going to happen today, and just create this scenario of negativity and drama and problems, and then wonder why that's what happens every day. If you didn't experience today, the day that you wanted to experience, did you set out to have that good, glorious day? Not just wished it would happen. Did you decree it? Did you believe for it? Did you stand in faith and then go about your day making sure to not enact a bad day? Not complaining, not murmuring, not getting caught up in drama. If you go to a workplace and people are complaining about the boss, you didn't join in. You went and did your work like you were supposed to. Did you do the things that would lead and continue for you to have a good day? Or did you fall back into bad patterns? Because if your days haven't been good, there are patterns you're in, and if you keep repeating them, the only result you can get is more of those bad days, more of those days that are evil, those days that are sad. And that's not what you want. It's not what anyone wants. But many people do want that over what they perceive to be difficult and hard, which is renewing their mind, walking in newness of life, being that changed person, and standing confidently in their faith. Because some of the things you will lose in doing that is you'll lose the ability to murmur and complain and whine. A lot of people like that. They get enjoyment out. They get some pleasure out of being a victim, a pleasure out of having circumstances that worked against them, having trials and tribulations. They like that. They would never come out and say it, and they would never dream for more problems, and yet that's what they do every day. So whether they admit it or not, or even know it or not, there is that underlying subconscious desire for more drama, more problems. Because if there wasn't, they'd be making changes every day. I had someone tell me, well, you know, my day, you don't understand, my days go so hard. It's always a problem everywhere I go. Okay, what'd you do today to change that? What do you mean what I do to change it? It just happens. And this is a problem that people get into. They're in ruts. They're constantly doing the exact same thing over and over and over again. And as the old saying goes, that's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting different results. And yet many people are trapped in it. They don't even see it. It's hard to see sometimes. You can look at other people. That's why people love to go help other people, love to fix their problems. But it's harder sometimes to address your own, to see them in the light and address them, because it's just, you have years upon years, maybe decades of reinforcement of that belief, reinforcement of that practice, reinforcement of that behavior, and sadly, reinforcement of the same results. But you want those good results, that day where every day is like a feast, where you walking in your merry heart, full of faith and grace. Every single day is a continual feast, a continual joyful exaltation of God's goodness in your life, with infinite blessings, infinite abundance, just constantly going from one good thing to another. That, my friend, can be your life if you'll choose to take up the merry heart, take up that good heart. And how do you do that? It's very easy. Follow Philippians 4. It's one of the most concise and perfect verses of Scripture for radically changing every aspect of your life. And yet so few do it. I go on about it over and over and over again, And I still get people who will contact me after watching dozens of my videos or even hundreds of them, and they're not following Philippians 4:8. My friend, if you'll follow that, if you'll only focus and only think about those things that are of good report, that are lovely, that are virtuous, just think about those good things. Look for God's goodness everywhere. Speak only those good things. And that's going to be hard for many people because they love talking about what is. But start talking about what you want, the good things you want, not what you don't want, not what did happen that was bad, not what may happen in the future that might be bad. Just talk about those good, positive, uplifting, high vibrational things, and watch as your life becomes one of a continual feast. My friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.